Well, the toilet is coming out once again. Hold on, let's stop that before things get too crazy right here. A lot of things to talk about today as traditional markets, gold, silver, metals just continue to do their thing. Bitcoin not doing fuck all as usual. The same thing has been going on for nearly 3 months, 3 fucking months, very long months. It reminds me of that scene from the Titanic. It's, the lady's like closing her eyes at the beginning. She's like, it's been 80 years or whatever the fuck. Yeah, something like that, man. Anyways, it definitely does feel like it's been quite some time since we've seen anything of real interest in Bitcoin here. Bitcoin just playing in the same range realistically, but things are happening in other markets, so we'll be going over a lot of that. Of course, gold making new all-time highs upon new all-time highs. Again, I want to reiterate my overall stance on gold and just the metals in general. It's like, don't be calling highs, or you're not going to be hearing me calling highs until I think that an all-time high is, and I'm not going to call it in advance. I don't think that you can do that in these parabolic blow-off tops. It always goes higher than what you think, and it always goes on for longer than what you think. And just trying to short these things before they actually do inevitably topple is a career-ending move in many cases, at least from my experience. So I can assure you of that fact. But, things are likely to get a little more crazy here. I don't think that we're seeing the highs this week. Maybe next week would be the earliest of earliest. But even then, these things can go on for a little bit longer, of course. Here's a monthly on gold, just massive fucking girthy green dildo action or cyan dildo action going on right here. And extremes on monthly volatility represented by the BBWP indicator. But goddamn, man, this can still go on for like another month or two, theoretically speaking. We have seen things go this critical for this long before. It doesn't happen often, obviously, but it does happen. Last time we saw was about 20 years ago in '06 during this run over here. Things took, about 5, 6, 7, 8 months cooling off after that and even continued on to new highs from there. So it's not necessarily a death sentence for the long-term rally. But I will be happy to call, a major high and a major swing high, likely to beget perhaps like a year's long worth of consolidation lower, maybe even just the macro high, perhaps, relatively soon. But we're not there just yet. We're not there just yet. I know a lot of people got their trigger on the fingers or their fingers on the triggers. Damn, dyslexia is striking again. Man, I've drinking enough coffee this morning to shit myself once or maybe even twice. Fucked up my earlier stream as well. Apologies on that. I tried to multi-stream is the issue. I tried to multi-stream to both Twitter and to YouTube. And apparently whenever I try to do that, it just fucks up the data feed for YouTube and gives a choppy stream. So I had to restart. I guess I won't be trying that again, but I should also let everyone know that I actually do have an interview coming out with Risk Takers, Alessandro from Risk Takers. Really enjoy speaking with him. Super cool. Like, very bizarre though. English guy, very obviously English guy, very Spanish name. Is that a Hispanic name? Alejandro, Alessandro. I'm not sure, but really enjoy speaking with him. That'll be coming out, I think, relatively soon. I just got a text from him, but I haven't been able to check it up, fully just yet. Been busy as all hell. Today's a big day, big fucking day. Not necessarily for Bitcoin, maybe. I mean, you do got FOMC coming out later today, but I think there is a strong, strong pull towards nothing basically happening. So I wouldn't really be expecting anything super new for Bitcoin, at least. But a big day for me nonetheless. Got a lot of appointments to get to, and big day for Elsa as well. So very much excited for that. But yeah, in the meantime, I'm not going to be looking at too much throughout the rest of the day. So we'll save this time for good old chart time. We'll get to the comments as well. I see Mr. Steve ID says, well, Mr. Miyagi, what's up, man? Good morning to you. Bitcoin is going to melt faces soon, says Joe Marty. I hope you promise. And do you provide refunds as well? It's going to melt faces. Does my face get melted to the upside or the downside? Or does your face get just melted into obscurity from going sideways for forever? No, of course. Bitcoin will break the range at some point. But, look, if you would have told me Bitcoin's going to be spending 3 months going sideways around $90,000, maybe like 5, 6 years ago, I'd been like, I'm happy for that. I'm very happy for that. We've all agreed Bitcoin at $90,000. That's a good price. We can just end the things here. We can just end it right here. And let Bitcoin be a stablecoin from now on. That's good. $90,000 is good. That's very, very good. Let's just let it be what it is. Anyways, calling out the Bitcoin versus gold ratio as well. I just want to state that, yes, I am still looking for this one to go lower. The overall analysis that we had from, I think it was 2 or 3 weeks ago, still stands. I think that we're getting close to that next major low, however, maybe about 15 and a half. Might even be kind of where we're at right now. I mean, that is the bi-weekly 200 simple, but this would kind of be like the very upper end of where I would be expecting for the next low, as this is a bi-weekly time frame and it is coming down to a major moving average. But I'm not really seeing, we're just seeing the first move into this, and right now it's just a fresh breakdown. So I personally do expect this one to go a little bit lower, maybe down around about 15 and a half or so. I think lowest would be about 14.5, but that's kind of where I'm looking for the next higher low, because this one has actually had a long-term uptrend. But right now, the trend is your friend, just to the downside, favoring gold, of course. So gold, still likely to carry the torch here. I would imagine at least until the end of this quarter. And then maybe even, into the end of the first half of this year. But after that, I would really be starting to look in terms of timing for a low on this chart, meaning that Bitcoin should start to gain versus gold. That could just mean that Bitcoin doesn't lose as much versus the US dollar versus gold. But speaking of the US dollar, I mean, this one's been getting absolutely fucking crushed recently. Where is my US dollar? Or not necessarily my US dollar, but my Dixies. There we go. Yeah, Dixie down to, what has been the lowest level since we've seen in 2022. So more than, 3-4 years ago now. Is it going to try to put in a low here? I actually do kind of think it will at least attempt to bounce. I think a lot of it's going to come down to the FOMC later today. Of course, that's going to probably drive something like this, and traditional marks, less so on Bitcoin, I do think. I don't think that we got too many new things to be speaking about right there. What's up, Lasers Go Pew Pew? I've been doing a lot of Pew Pew as well recently, both in the toilet and also at the shooting range. I've been enjoying being a real American recently. Shooting fucking guns, buying ammunition, going to the shooting range, driving a truck. I love it, man. America's great. If you're out there in the world and you like those things, come to America. It's the best place for that. It's absolutely amazing, absolutely beautiful. If you don't like those things, might not be the best place, but fair enough. A lot of people starting to hate on Binance as well. I've never really been a humongous fan of Binance, but I'm curious what the change of heart is as of recent. Can someone summarize the stance on why people are really turning against Binance as of recent? Because prior to this, CZ was like the hero. Binance was the glorious exchange of primary destination, but it hasn't really seen that much. So at least in the past, I would say like 2 to 3 weeks now. What's up, Boris? Much hate from Hateland. In early as hell. Fuck yeah, man. Good morning, cheers ball, sir. I see a lot of super chats here. I'm saving them. I am actually without Elsa today, but that's all good. I can actually handle it myself, so all good. Yaku says right now Binance official exchange has a bug. It exchanges Bitcoin to Ethereum almost at a 10x rate, fully automatic. I posted a video. Sounds legit. Okay, I probably just read some sort of a shill scam comment. Probably shouldn't do that. I'm actually just going to remove that just in case. I don't know if this guy's like joking or if he's like just a scam commenter or whatever. But just for all sanity safe, I will get rid of it for right now. It might actually be legit. I mean, who the fuck knows? Aren't you in Finland? Hell no, man. Hell no. I got the fuck out of there, man. As soon as they started talking about wealth taxes and shit like that, get the fuck out. Get the fuck out. Get the fuck out. Okay, get the fuck out. When it comes to wealth taxes, this is the prelude to private property seizure. If you read history, I can assure you it not always starts with that, but it definitely starts with it a lot of the time. Don't fucking do it. Of course, at the beginning, it starts with just the evil rich. And then at some point, it comes down to you for many different reasons. One of them being because, well, who are the people who are actually mobile in the tax base are typically the extreme rich. And well, after they leave, then who else do you have to pick up the bill? Unfortunately, the average person, the average wage earner, So at the end of the day, those sort of things do hurt the people that they are intended to help the most. And so many countless stories of this shit, man. It is unfortunate. I do need to turn on the volume from my phone just before I forget. So one moment here. Let's make sure that I got this just in case I got an important call in the early morning hours. Rosie had a nasty vet appointment on Monday as well. So awaiting the results of that. Nova Spark says taxing unrealized gains, dumb things that people actually think work and won't cause capital flight. Yeah, I mean, it really just comes down to lack of education, of course. I mean, we've had so many of these experiments in the past. I think namely with Norway and Denmark especially, these ones tried to introduce wealth taxes. They found that they actually ended up getting less in tax revenue after implementing those things. And I think after that, they actually reversed it because, well, at that point, it's like, oh God, we're fucked. Like we really just shot ourselves in the foot. It's unfortunate, but yeah, for whatever reason, people need to learn the same lessons. I guess it's because the people who actually learned the lessons and then implemented those lessons, they just die off, and then the new crop of people, are born and they don't know the prior lessons, and they don't really have a great incentive to, read history, and they start to listen to things that sound good and sound just and sound nice, but at the end of the day end up actually hurting them. So, it's just tragedy of the commons, honestly, man. It really is just tragedy of the commons is what I've come to. And ultimately, you can't fight it. People are just, it's human nature to want these things. It's human nature to want these things. But yeah, they're gone. Exactly, man. And realistically, those sort of taxes, like it's not, if you actually read history and you understand it, it's not to help the middle class or the lower class or anything like this. It really comes from the basis of wanting to punish those who have more. Envy is such a terrible thing, man. It really is. I mean, when you read history and you realize that the average person today, not even the average person today, but the average poverty person today in the US or in the Western world is living an infinitely better life than rulers, than literal kings from 200, 300 years ago, it becomes abundantly clear how fucking crazy we are because we just think in terms of relativity. We just look at people who have more than ourselves and we think, oh God, that's not fair, rather than looking at the totality of history. I mean, fuck, all of us are living in amazing times compared to what it would have been, 300, 500 years ago, or even 100 years ago. I mean, shit, you didn't have penicillin by that time. So get a fucking infection, you're dead. Congratulations, you're dead. You're still a king, but you're dead. You die from the common cold. Amazing, just amazing. Anyways, man, I'll get off that topic for right now. What do you think about good old Larry Fink, the co-chair of the WEF? I don't know. I really don't know, man. I really don't know. I don't have a well thought out opinion on these things. Obviously, it sounds bad, but at the end of the day, it seems to me like the WEF is, it seems to be like a failing organization. I mean, fucking even Jamie Dimon, who is a stated globalist. He loves globalism. Like he literally says that outright. He is severely critical of the WEF. He went into the fucking snake's den and said straight to their faces, you guys haven't really done much to make the world better since being, self-elected, self-appointed rulers of the world. Great fucking job, guys. Maybe do something. He didn't say it exactly those words, but he was, I like Jamie Dimon. I think I met him, but I didn't know him at one point. I think when I was living in Chicago, I went to this gym that was like, it was just one of those gyms where all these people go. Like Michael Jordan went there, Oprah went there. I think Jamie Dimon was going there. And I think I actually did meet him in the sauna one day. I didn't know it was him. And I was just like talking to him offhand. And someone said to me later on, it's like, hey, do you know who that is? I'm like, no. It's like, it's Jamie Dimon. I think they said it was Jamie Dimon, or at least they said it was a billionaire, something of that sort. And I just remember him being like a real straight shooter, a real cool guy. Honestly, I really liked him. A really cool guy. But fair enough, man. Anyways, let's see what else we got over here. Yeah, Yaku is probably a scam there. So probably wouldn't, go into that, probably avoid Binance for the moment. But again, what do I know, man? I'm not actually studying on that as of the current moment. Yeah, like why comment? Just leave. Exactly, man. Exactly. All good, man. All good. Yeah, we can. Okay. He is a scam comment. He's actually posted the same thing multiple times, so we can just hide him on the channel as well. There we go. Bear Nutrition's in charge right there. Fuck yeah, man. Always love Bear Nutrition joining in. Appreciate that, Mr. Gareth. I do appreciate that. It only took two hair transplants to get it right. Jamie never lived in Chicago. I used to office 6 feet from him. Maybe he wasn't living in Chicago, but he certainly was going there and working there in some capacity, because that is where a lot of their offices are for Chase. Anyways, let's go through some traditional marks over here. Let's see what we shall have. Let's start off with gold. I guess we've kind of already referenced gold, but this is the last ending wave, in my opinion, of this parabolic blow off top. But I do still think that it goes higher. You had this last little consolidation right here. This is, on what is kind of a lower term time frame for this thing at this moment. The weekly, that target's already been met upon the breakout, overshooting a little bit as well here. So we're once again in the twilight zone for this thing. All I can tell you is that in terms of timing, the highs are very, very, very likely soon in. I think my personal opinion is that it'll be in before the end of this quarter. But again, I am looking for something very specific, very fucking specific to happen. And I think silver's a better representation of this, because yesterday, it looks like we might have the early warnings of this happening with the weekly, trading up to significantly new highs intra-week and then slamming down before end of week. But of course, we weren't even past the midpoint of this week, which is basically today. And until we see Friday close, I would not be making the potentially drastic assumption that the highs are in. But what I want to see is a major wick to the upside, something like this, then close back down around the week's open or below the week's open, especially kind of something like this right here. And if I see something like that, then yes, I'm happy to call highs. I think silver is maybe a little bit closer in terms of putting in the high compared to gold. But for right now, with the way that it's eaten up that initial dump on Monday, no, we don't have it right now. That is as of current negated. But again, until we get the Friday closure, anything can happen. But for right now, I would still be cautiously optimistic for this thing, with probably a big focus on the round even number of $100. This one has already traded up nearly 20%, or sorry, actually about 17.75% from that round even number. So, it is starting to look a little more textbook here, but it's very important. What clarifies it, what confirms it, is the close. That's what matters here. Intra-week, we can get sort of inklings of what's going to happen, but it's not until the weekly closes where I'd really start to say some more aggressive things, let's say. And for right now, this one, assumedly wants a little bit higher at least. Looking at weekly RSI, you're going to be working on some bearish divergence here most likely, but for right now, let it go a little bit more up. Same thing on the monthly. You do have this nice trend line regression from very, 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 very long ago. It will still be on what is a lower high right now, but that can still be, another month of price action, another month and a half of price action going into February. So I still would strongly suggest not to just blindly short these things. Again, I'm not your dad. I'm not here to tell you what to do. And, at some point someone will call the high, but don't stand in the way of a fucking freight train that is just ready to run you over with no remorse. We could look at copper as well. This one also has been doing quite well. What is the ticker for copper? It's XCU. Yeah, there we go. Let's do this one right here. Whoops, XCU. All right, beautiful. Let's see what this one's doing. This honestly, when you're thinking in terms of rotations, when you're thinking in terms of like alt season, you can actually use a lot of your conditioning in crypto market cycles, because the same thing is playing out here, just to a slower extent. You're going to see sort of the lower end of these metals now rally. And I think copper is probably the next big one. In terms of risk reward, this one probably will be the better go as of right now compared to gold, compared to silver. I think that this one will probably do a silver-esque move, and you probably do see, $7, maybe $8 before this one's all said and done. I do technically have a target around about $8 or so. So that is an implied move. And yeah, I think in terms of risk reward, if you're trying to catch the tail end of this bull market, probably copper is a bit of a better setup right now compared to gold, compared to silver. Those things are kind of in the last throes. This one, probably has one more move up, and then, they'll all come down in unison more or less. On top of that, when we go over to, of course, stonks, we do see new all-time highs in SPY futures. We were speaking about this likelihood on really over the past couple months on this consolidation right here. Very strong higher low, which was confirmed on last Wednesday's video, then further put in a higher low on this Monday's video. That was our tell. This thing is about to run to new all-time highs, and it did in the early morning hours for today, getting a bit of a pullback based upon that retest of the price action pivots indicator. So again, if you're looking for that intra-bar scalp, you can certainly have them on these plays, but these are not meant to be hold trades. These are not meant to be, more than really realistically like a few hours long worth of holding trades, especially on a time frame like this, and lower than that, on a lower time frame, obviously. But you are seeing that response on the first pass. I still look at this as overall good. Again, the bi-weekly time frame is the teller here. It's working on putting in a bullish engulfing dildo. Technically, it's not there just yet, but if it does close above last period's high of 70.36 then it will have that. The reason why I bring this up is because NASDAQ already is there, actually, just pending Friday's closure. But as of right now, the bi-weekly is on a massive bullish engulfing dildo. Technically, again, not confirmed until Friday's closure, but for right now, looking good. And this is undoubtedly a setup for higher. And I do think that NASDAQ is ready to probably break that prior high coming into early February and head up to the next major areas of interest, which are about 27.5 to $28,000 at least, what I'll be speaking about on this channel. And then of course, there's a very easy and obvious invalidation. It's just this Monday's low. As long as you're above Monday's low, it is bullish. Yes, you can get a short-term pullback right here. That's fine. Again, from retesting the prior highs. I mean, that's expected, obviously, but that's just short-term bullshit. Ultimately, this one I do believe is getting ready for a real breakout. Here's your monthly coming into the end of January. So we only got 2.5 days left in the trading month to go. This is bullish. It does not have, it's technically not a bullish engulfing dildo, but this is bullish nonetheless by closing back above the previous December's doji dildo right here. That is a signal of indecision, and the next month clearing above that high and hopefully closing above that high, which it will if it just closes anywhere above 25,935 in a quarter to be exact, then to me that is a signal for continuation. I'm still fully invested, or not fully invested in traditional markets. I have taken some profits, yes, but overwhelmingly, I am still invested here, and I do believe that this one does have higher to go. But in terms of timing, I think that we're looking at major highs in less than a year, maybe sooner than that. But I do have my trigger finger ready, or my finger trigger ready. A little bit more water right here. And then we can go to Bitcoin really quickly as well, because Bitcoin is, pretty simple here. Again, the meta signal setup, which did fire off, this was on a couple days ago, 6-hour time frame. This one almost hit the first target, which does have an 88% probability to be hit at 90,935. In the early morning hours today, Bitcoin did get up to where it got up to about 90,380. So technically it's not hit that target just yet, and that is very specific. Target number 2 does have a 60% probability historically to be hit, which is 94,700 almost. That one is significant. And when we go over to the revenue ribbons, I do think still this one is getting the short-term and medium-term price action nearly flawlessly, at least for the way that I look at price action. I would still be using the mid band right here, which has now moved down a little bit, but it is now at about 91,250 as a sort of early indication that we are going to see that second target hit, and we will see a real reversal attempt from this, $85,000 base. Until that happens, though, very specifically, until Bitcoin specifically reclaims by closing above 91,250, I will say the exact same thing has been saying since it lost it over here, which is short-term, medium-term is a downside bias, looking somewhere between 85,000 bucks on the lower end. Sorry, on the upper end, and as much as basically the last low from November at about 80,000 on the lower end. So still somewhere in this red circle pocket right here, and I do still maintain my overall short biased position here, but it is more so. It's just not a bullish position. I'm short the $100,000 call strike expiring in a couple weeks from this Friday, and I'm long the 105 call strike expiring 1 week earlier. If Bitcoin rallies back above 91,250 and reclaims that, I might cover a little bit, but I will certainly be covering all of it above the last prior high, which is 98,000 bucks. Bitcoin clears back above there, I will long it. I will long the underline, and more importantly, I will lock in this profit 15,600 for that expiration. I'll even gain some upside deltas because I will be bullish at that point. I will be bullish for a decent move, probably to, maybe 110 if that were to happen. But that's still well and far away, and it is not the bias right now. Again, the minimum hurdle to clear for Bitcoin to even prove itself somewhat in the short term is, again, the mid band at 91,250. Reclaiming there would initiate likely that $94,500 target. And personally, I do think that things would solidify in a higher low fashion right here, and work their way up to 600 Bitcoin again. But for right now, buy still remains to the downside, and those would be the general areas of interest for this next targeted move based upon this current downtrend. And to be fair, we don't really have any major indication that Bitcoin is slowing its downtrend right here. We don't see any divergences for Bitcoin, on a daily time frame. Maybe on the lower term time frames than that we do. Let's see. Yeah, daily definitely not there. 4-hour time frame was there, but that's already played out. I mean, you got a beautiful move from 86 all the way up to 90, a little bit above 90,000 bucks on Caretaker's RSI. And ultimately, I do think Bitcoin's probably going to put in a lower high right here, honestly, because we are starting to see hidden bearish divergence emerge between the highs from about last week and this potential high right here. It's be kind of textbook. So I would not be surprised at all to see Bitcoin come back down probably around that previous low, maybe a little bit lower, maybe even spike down to the stop loss zone for this meta signal setup, and then try a real bounce. I think that's how it probably happen if Bitcoin is going to reverse. I don't think it's going to just straight go to the upside from here. Can be wrong, obviously, but that would be my general take as of right now. Anyways, we can go over to the super chats right now. I've already saved the ones from the previous stream, so all good there. Let me get over to Steven Schickman. He is indeed first today. He's looking at MSTZ. Okay, cool. On SIBO, or probably just everywhere. Let me go to a daily. Still fighting its way around here. Hasn't really done anything for the past week or so, since last Tuesday or last Wednesday. Still, for me, to confirm bullishness needs to trade back above 15 bucks. To confirm bearishness would need to come back down below last week's low. Right now, we don't really have either. I'm a little bit more biased towards this putting in a high here and coming back down, mostly because of the MicroStrategy chart rather than the MSTZ chart. I think that this is an easier chart right here. I think that you will, in the short term, get one more try towards these lows, officially test that white 200 simple at about 148-ish, maybe a little bit lower, maybe a little bit higher, but somewhere around there, and then play out a real bounce. If it does do something like that, you will also have regular bullish divergence very likely on the weekly RSI. So, I am biased towards that MSTZ chart topping out overall, but it could retest the highs on MSTZ first before going lower. And that would correlate with a move to that 200 simple right here, which is looking more and more likely. So, one more move to the upside for MSTZ, then I'd probably be looking for, a local top. That would make a lot of sense to me as of right now. Zeta, we can go back to Zeta as well. I know we've looked at this one many times for you as well, and still doing the same thing as before. I'm still short-term downside buys here, long-term a sideways buys, but short-term downside buys. Playing out the overall range here, same shit as before, basically. Yeah, I'm looking for it to officially retest this low at 19.5 bucks. Maybe it tries like a very small bounce there, but ultimately I think that it will come down and fill this gap at about 18.25 or so, maybe all the way down to the white 200 simple here as well, but anywhere around there. And I'll put my my red circle of destiny somewhere down around there. I would be looking for that thing to try for a higher low. I'm not necessarily bearish on it, just not bullish on it right now. Bullish confirmation is above about 25 bucks. Coming into the end of the month, it is looking like a rejection, so not great. So the range, is probably going to continue for a little bit longer at least. Anyways, what else we got? We got straight paths. He's looking at CLSK, pump or dump, good swing for next few weeks. Let's check it out. I think this was also like a sideways eternal range one. Yeah. Is it a pump or a dump? I think your next move is... I don't know. It's overall sideways, man. I don't think that you have... The opportunity is not here, man. The opportunity is not here. I think you're doing something like this. And I guess I'd be somewhat biased towards a downside move to $9 first and then try a bounce. But ultimately, it's not doing anything of significant interest, in my opinion. Sideways in this range does favor the bulls long term. But I think it's going to be a long-term sideways range, man. And your next move to the downside, and then you bounce. But do I think it's going to break the range high after that bounce? No, I think you're going to be held between basically 16 bucks on the upper end versus, I don't know, like $8 on the lower end, something like that, man. Don't really think much else, of interest is going on there. I'll scroll back up to the top side of these comments here too. Let's see what else we got. Mr. Escobar says, "What's up from sunny LA, y'all?" Y'all, good southern draw on that one as well, man. Italian name says Vegas God. Yeah, it's Alessandro. Italian, yeah. He actually did look a little bit Italian, I suppose. Anyways, Jay Pimmon says GM is Riot stock setting up for a move higher to $40. Let's check it out. We haven't seen Riot in a long time on this channel, so I'm kind of curious myself. Is it setting up for a move to $40? It's trading at 1766, so we're looking for more than a 2x move right now. Definitely reasonable, right? Look, I actually do think that it is setting up for a reversal here. Oh shit, this actually could. Okay, I see what you're seeing. I actually do see what you're seeing. And a closure above about 1630 by the end of this month. So Friday finishing above 1630, which looks kind of likely right now, but shit's happening a little bit later today. So maybe that averts this mess. But if it does, I actually do think that there is a chance. Is $40 my next target? No, the top side of the range would be my next target, which is 24.5 or basically the highs from October. But you got higher low number one, higher low number two. You're back around that previous range high, and this would be higher low number three with a silver cross the upside, assuming it finishes the month out here or higher. I could definitely see $24.5. $40 not my next target, obviously, but if it could actually break that previous high at 24.5 or whatever, then yeah, I actually do think your target at $40 gets hit. I think you probably even get a spike higher than that to $55. But one thing before the next, and I would certainly not front run this thing. I would be waiting for the end of the week's closure. But for now, it actually is kind of setting up in a pretty strong fashion for the end of this month. So I don't think that that's that crazy. It's just not my first target. I'd be looking for 24.5 first. I want to see the response there, and I really want to see where Friday closes, because that's going to increase that probabilistic setup if it does happen. Lev Ash says, "Hey Crown, much hate." What's up, man? Much hate to you as well, sir. ZEC 4 on daily. Gotcha, man. ZEC, one of the few cryptos that's been rallying as of recent, but we haven't looked at it in a while. And I suppose now I know why, because it has not been rallying as of recent. If you're on a 4-hour time frame, short term, I do think that you got a local high in. That is a swing high, and you probably spend a little bit of time going sideways and down, but you do have higher lows, around 350, 355, it gets there. And I would be looking for a bounce temp somewhere, something resembling this. Daily time frame, same thing. It is still within a downtrend, so yeah, I do have to be looking for it to go short-term to the downside. It does not necessarily imply that it's going to break down here, though, because you are starting to see there is going to be some divergence building up if it does make another run at this like $300 low. And the crown oscillator over here, like it's looking for at least a pity bounce. So if it does come down, either tries for a bounce at 350-ish, or maybe comes all the way back down to that prior low at like 320. But I'm not looking for it to like scream to new lows here. I'm looking for it to come down and then try another bounce. Then, you know, depending upon how high that bounce gets, I could get very bearish on it from there. Let's look at the monthly as we do get to the end of January. And the monthly is looking kind of ugly here, no doubt about that. So it definitely does have a real potential to break down more long term, but I'd probably look for one more bounce first. One more bounce, then if it's going to break down, let it break down. The only obvious call I'd have is that if it closes this month out on Sunday below 350, I would get bearish from there, just generally bearish for a move back down to like, you know, $200, 150, whatever. But until that happens, I think you probably got one more bounce, man. 1236N is looking at quadruple U's. UU. There we go. Energy fuels. Got it. Is it going to hit $35? I don't know. Let me look at my crystal ball. So far, so good. Coming into the end of this month, very strong, very, very strong by reapproaching that prior high. Yeah. It's going to hit $35. Yeah, that would kind of be like the next logical area. I don't know. It might be like 32.5 rather than 35, but yeah. Yeah, overall good. This is looking like a real reversal here. I would treat it like a real reversal. I have no reason to be bearish on this thing as long as you're above, especially like $17. It couldn't pull back in the short term. That's fine. But even then, it's actually quite strong in the short term, if anything. So, yeah, I actually do think it's possible here. Perhaps in February, maybe more so in March. The quarterly is the tell right here. I honestly think it's very possible this thing goes higher. Quarterly has a pretty fucking good move here. Might be more like $45 to $50, honestly. But that could take, I mean, that might take you into like the second quarter, the end of the second quarter. I don't know the timing of this, obviously, but I would have a bullish bias here as long as you're about $17, basically. That's how I'd be looking at this one right now. Vince have PH8. Nice. You are very well balanced, sir. IWM. Okay, well, this is mid caps. This is Russell 2000 ETF. Or sorry, mid caps, small caps, same shit, basically. Still think that this one's breaking out. Again, you're seeing the junk rally last, and this is indeed junk, but I think that it does go higher. It's just freshly breaking those prior highs from 2021, November. I think you got to move to $300 plus. I think you got to move to $300 plus, man. If you're on a daily, maybe a different look here, because short term, it does, you know, it is still kind of consolidating, probably does have a little bit of downside, maybe all the way down to like 258, 260-ish region even. But that's still a higher low overall. I'm looking at the higher term timeframes here because this one, you know, it's poised for higher, man. It is poised for higher. Here's your quarterly. I mean, for fuck's sake, like this is bullish, especially as long as you're above 245. That's a really obvious invalidation. I'm happy to be very bullish on this as long as you're above 245. You know, big breakout. You know, multi-year consolidation being resolved as of right now, but must maintain above 245. That's my condition right there. And then, I don't know, 300 plus overall. I don't know about the daily though. Daily might have some ebbs and flows here. Probably got a bit of an ebb down to like 260, I'd guess, in the short term. What else we got? We got Happy LSA says XS. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Lasers go pew pew. Nice. Fuck yeah, man. Non-KYC AML days are over, but it shows how mature the asset has become. Yeah, there's still a couple games in town that will give you no KYC. Blofin, blah, 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 blah. Still does no KYC. I do have a link for them. It actually is one of the more, I guess, appealing links because it does give you 15% off of your trading fees. It basically gives you 15% cash back on your trading fees. So you put in your orders, then you get cash back. So it's basically 15% off. But as far as my knowledge right now, I don't think that there's any other exchanges that are offering, that low fees. And I think that is very much specific to my link, 15% off. There is a link in the description below. If it's not in the link description below, there's probably a video on my channel somewhere that has that link for you. But is that non-KYC game going to last for forever? No, man, of course not. It's a maturing asset class, as you said. And that's one of the things about maturing is that you just you don't get those sort of wild west things anymore. It's like a penny stock going into the real stock market. Very few do it, but when they do, no longer do you get all that bullshit that you had before. Now you got to play by the real rules. So it is what it is, man. I for one welcome it. I for one welcome our new overlords. Personally, I've been doing the overwhelming majority of my real trading in traditional markets as of recent. Realistically, in the past year, I've been slowly moving over. Now a lot more moving over, especially with options and whatnot, being a lot more viable in traditional markets now rather than just the Bitcoin native exchanges. So yeah, it's a sign of the times. I look at it as a good thing. I understand why some people don't like it, but for me, it's great. Anyway, CRML for 1236N critical metals. Guys, the metals are once again a big focus of today's stream. Selling off on the prior high. So again, to be expected, probably plays out a little more downside here. I think you got another move towards $15 or so, but overall I'd be bullish on this thing as long as you're above $12. So I think that you could have, kind of a nasty corrective phase here. Maybe does something like this, boom, 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 and then tries an upside move. But I would be bullish as long as you're above about $15. Monthly time frame. It's kind of new to be looking at it, but for what it's worth, it does look good right here. That would be a higher low if it closed something like this. It's just a little bit weird looking because it's so new. But yeah, overall, I would actually be bullish on this. I just think that you're in a short-term corrective phase. Maybe it continues on with the rally like late or, past the midpoint of February, something like that. Like I said, I've maintained bullishness as long as you're above, what was it, $12? A little under $12, about $11.80, let's say. Cool. Yes. What else we got? Tommy Dixon says, hello, a laser stock long-term and areas to add. I don't really know what you're trying to do there, so I couldn't possibly give you real advice or financial advice because I'm also not a financial advisor, but I can tell you what I would do. Where would I want to add? Well, I don't know. Do I even want to add to something like this? What the fuck even is it? Electronic technology, semiconductors. Okay. Yeah, probably good. Retesting the same high from 2018 and again in 2021. It's probably going to break. It's just, is it going to break on this exact pass right here? I don't know. I really don't know. There's been a pretty crazy run so far. I'm inclined to say you probably correct first to like $39 or so. Do you want to put a little bit more on there? I guess that could kind of make sense, but I don't know, man. I wouldn't get aggressive right here personally, unless if you actually close above the 2021 high on the monthly. If you do something like that, okay, yeah, I could long the breakout. Understanding that, yeah, I'll probably go underwater for a little bit in February, but testing that prior high, I'm more inclined to say this one pulls back first. Just generally happens more often than not. Mid to upper 30s is where I'll be looking towards. I'm generally bullish as long as you're above $28. So anything above there, I think is fine. Just depends on what sort of risk and what sort of, what sort of capital allocation you have as well. Like you don't need to put all of it in when it comes down, 10%, for example, but you might put some of it in there, maybe 20% then, and save another 20% for when it comes down a little bit lower, if it comes down a little bit lower, or feel free to long the breakout as well. That's kind of the way that I think. I don't want to do everything all at once. In increments indeed. Anyways, Chris Vela says RR Daily. Yeah, so full disclosure, I do own this one. I think it was maybe even you who brought it up on this stream, or someone brought it up on this stream. And I was like, oh, I like that. I like the way it looks. I'll take it. Now we're coming into the end of this month here. I think the only primary focus should be what the monthly closes above. Does it close above December's high or not? If it does, this is among the easiest calls. If it does not, it's still overall good, especially as long as it's above $4 even. But this thing's moved around a lot recently. I know because I've been watching it. Yesterday I think it went up like what, fucking 40%, 50%. It went up in one day from $4 to $5.50. Okay, about almost 40% there. So it's quite volatile right now. I think that overall this is good. I do still hold it, but I really want to see the monthly close above last month's high because that would be my bullish confirmation for this thing to retest the $7.50 high. Probably just moved into highs from there. $8, $9, $10, whatever. Just overall bullish. Where would I get bearish on this thing? Below the weekly price action pivot low at 306 or 305 actually. Top right hand number right there. So yeah, if that happens, okay, I'd get bearish. I'd capitulate on my position. For right now, really want to see the monthly settle above that number. If it does, I really am happy to be continuing to hold this one. Very nice. Very nice indeed. Very nice indeed. Let's see. Yeah, some people really enjoy the political rants. That's great. Yeah, I know that I have very extreme political views. Like like basically, if you don't agree with me, you're gonna hate. You're gonna hate whatever I say. I get it. Whatever. It's my channel. At the end of the day, you can speak whatever your political views are on your channel. Anyways, inertia. I thought it was like in arena for a moment, and then it's inertia. Like sounded it out like hooked on phonics. Thoughts on ZM stock, medium and long-term timeframes. I don't know. I haven't looked at it in a while. Let's check it out. Zoom, pretty good here actually, breaking the weekly, the weekly consolidation range. I think this thing is ready to move higher, probably 110, maybe as much as 120. I'm bullish as long as you're above last week's low. Very obvious pivot right there. Again, finishing the month out strong. That green 55 EMA is a good target. So 110 to 120, maybe just right smack dab in the middle at 115. Yeah, I like it. I like it for this move at least. What else we got over here? Wait, what the fuck? What? God damn! Like, what the actual fuck? I'm like reading through somebody's like that. What am I like reading something out of context here? What the fuck is this coming around again? Anyways, Jeff B says FOMC tonight will trigger some fun. Potentially, maybe more so for traditional markets. I think less so for Bitcoin. I mean, it really hasn't meant much for Bitcoin in a long time, man. Anyways, Allen's 99 says, what are your thoughts on gold going up another 20% as per the gold M2 supply charts? This would indicate. I actually, for some reason, do think $6,000 is kind of like a general target now. It'd be like a massive overshoot of the 5,000 round even number. And yeah, I do think it's, I'm just bullish on gold until I'm not. I'm looking for something resembling a major high. Until then, I think 6,000 is actually possible here. The craziest things happen during these times. The absolute craziest things happen during these times. This is akin to end of 2017 for Bitcoin. If you remember that, it was just, crazy shit happened. This is the time for that. Anyways, we got D Cowboys next. He's looking at, or greetings from Plano, Texas. Fuck yeah, man. Good morning to you, sir. AKA corporate hellscape. Oh, okay. I don't know anything about that. I actually just recently learned Texas is fucking absolutely massive. All right, I knew it was big before, but to drive across Texas, I think it would take from side to side, it would take somewhere between 10 to 15 hours, something like that. It's crazy. It's fucking gigantic. It really is. Anyways, you're looking at Maine, okay? This thing? All right, we'll look at it. Weekly, monthly, this is my dividend stock that I funnel my options profit into. Hell yeah. Okay, cool. Sounds like you got a real strategy there, or at least, a capital allocation strategy. That's cool. Overall, this is a very good chart long term. This is kind of what you want from a dividend stock, just steady, but, relatively low amounts of growth. Am I bullish on this? Yeah, I actually am bullish on this. I think that you're going to retest that $68 high, probably make new highs. You got a beautiful higher low right here. Just follow the yellow brick trend. It's beautiful. It's beautiful, beautiful. Bullish AF as long as you're above. What is it? This low here, which is about $60.40. If you do lose that low, I think that you do it at a correction lower, but I'm not necessarily bearish. I just think that you correct lower towards, I don't know, maybe as much as like $52-ish. It'd actually still be bullish long-term in my book. But for right now, just let it go up, man. The quarterly is bullish. I don't think it's going to correct here, to be honest with you. I do think that this one is poised for new highs, actually. Probably this quarter. Latest, second quarter. Latest, I would assume that would be second quarter. People use Powell's words again as an excuse to do whatever they were going to do anyways. Yeah, I mean, look, the market's going to do what it's going to do. Price action is pure. People's interpretation of Powell is, of course, subjective. The interpretation or the excuse is always supplied after price action moves. And that's why, in my opinion, trying to guess narratives and shit like that, it's just an impossible game. Good luck with that. Good fucking luck with that. I hope it serves you well. We wish you well. Simo Haya says, SMG, Scott's Miracle Grow. Okay. It's a new one. Interesting. Very bad so far on the weekly, but you're on the quarterly. Don't like it, man. Silver cross to the downside. I think you're more likely to retest these lows at 44, 43 bucks than you are to, pop back above this $95 high. I think on any sort of a corrective rally, I think you're honestly getting rejected right here into the end of this month. So barring a epic rally before end of month back above 60 bucks, I look at this as a rejection. In short term, your downtrend very likely resumes back down to your range lows, which is 45 or so. Maybe even breaks down is possible, I suppose. I mean, most things are rallying right now, so probably doesn't have the juice to do that. But yeah, I'm more inclined to say this one goes to the downside. Weekly, lower high, rejection of the 200 simple, hidden bearish divergence. That's a classic setup on low volatility. Let the caretakers RSI show you the way. I'm looking back down towards 50 bucks on the lower end, on the higher end, 45 on the lower end. Might even truly break down as well. Bi-weekly, ugly as fuck. You're even going to have some hidden bearish divergence here by this week's closure if this thing closes below or here or lower, basically. Yeah. Not great, man. Not great, in my opinion. Vince have PH8, very balanced as well. Platinum daily above 2,700, blue skies. Well, if it is indeed a new all-time high, then by definition it shall be. This one looks a little bit more toppy to me than gold or silver, for that matter. It's above 2,800. Is it going to be, or above 2,700? Is it going to be blue skies? I guess you're going off of this closing high right here, or this high right here. No, because your reversal dildo is quite literally Monday's high. So I think front running a reversal from there, probably not wise. You do have bearish divergence here on the daily. Weekly also has it a little bit as well, but I would not call a high here, although you do have the potential in place. And there's a really obvious setup now, which is just this week's low. Or let me just do it for this week's low. This week's low, 24.76. If you trade below this week's low coming into next week, so this is not a this week thing, this is a next week thing. If you do that, I would call a major high here and look for a correction down to about 2,000 bucks or so. Until then, I would cautiously be optimistic still, because it is an uptrend here. It is an uptrend, to be fair. If it takes out last week's low, I do think you're going to get a pretty nasty reversal. Until then, though, I do have to say the same thing as I did say on gold and silver. It's like, I guess it's still bullish. Got to wait for the weekly closure, but there are real cracks starting to show on this one. I would not call above 2,700 blue skies. I need to. It's not helpful what I'm about to say, but it is the truth. It really needs to trade above Monday's high, the all-time high. So, yeah, I would not get too cute with this one. Again, if you see next week trade below this week's low, bad. The Anunnaki are coming for your gold. I actually recently learned about the Anunnaki. They do apparently really love gold. It is a thing. We need more agua. All right. The conservative cat says Archer. Okay. Archer stock. Archer aviation. Bad. So my LARP line's here. Correct. Rejection of the 200 simple. Back down. I don't really have anything new to add on to this one. I think that you're coming back down to these lows, probably maybe even lower, maybe even 575 back down to the weekly 200 simple. This is a rejection, and it is a lower high, and it is a downtrend, and it is on low volatility. And I do think that it wants to come further down. Here's your monthly. Again, coming into the end of the month like this, not great. Yeah, barring an epic reversal before the end of this week, back above $8.5 bucks, basically Monday's high. It's bearish, man. It's bearish. Daily wants to come down. Weekly wants to come down. Monthly might look really nasty depending upon how Friday closes, but I'd be looking back down towards 730, maybe even as much as 6.5. Yeah, I don't like it. Don't like it, sir. Fish people. Fish people indeed. Hey, Crown, greetings from Croatia. Hell yeah, man. Croatia, very beautiful place. Thoughts on Tesla? Today has listed on Binance. I don't think that really matters, man. Like, it's not like you're being introduced to a shit ton of new investors there that didn't already have access to it. You know, U.S. capital markets still rule the world after all. But as far as Tesla goes, I do hold this thing. So as always, full disclosure. In terms of price action, slight bearish bias here on the daily. But it's not like a full-on dominant bearish bias or anything like that. It's more so a range, I suppose. Short term, does it come back down to like 423, 425? Maybe. But you have a pretty obvious range here, right? You got your range high, 454 and a quarter. You got your range low, 417 and a half. You just reject to the range high. technically should be biased towards a retest of the range low, but whichever side it breaks of this is going to be the next major direction. I am happy to be very fucking bullish on this thing to new highs. If it just closes back above the price action pivot here at 452.5, even on a daily, that would do it for me. By the same token, below 417.5, I would look for a short-term reversal with targets down to like 385-ish, something like that, man. A little bit of a short-term downside bias, but I don't know if that really matters to you. That'd be more of a long-term thing. At least that's how I play Tesla myself. Pricey says GAW on London Stock Exchange. Thank you for specifying the exchange if it's not an American exchange. And short-term, a local high here on the monthly. So a swing high is in place. Barring an epic rally before the end of Friday, I do think that this thing will reverse and come back down and try for a higher low, somewhere around 15,850 on the upper end to maybe as low as 15,000 even on the lower end. Yeah, and technically long term it'd still be okay, still be bullish, because that is just a reconnect with the quarterly 5 EMA. I don't know how far out you are, but I don't think it's going to like fully break down. I think it's just like a short-term downside move, and then you have a pretty big bounce somewhere in that range that we just spoke about. But yeah, short-term, you know, probably does try a little more downside. Mr. Escobar says, GM, Mr. Crown, what's up, man? DNN can't be stopped. Can it be stopped? The Denison Mines Corporation. Yeah, pretty good. And apparently I have some LARP lines here. I have it going to the whatever the range high is, which is 430. Yeah, I think you're going to get there. Probably have a short-term pullback and then probably push through. This is very strong. This is very good. But generally, when you get to these range highs, you're going to pull back on the first pass. So a little bit more to like 430. Maybe it just goes for 4.5 even and then pulls back. But after the pullback, you know, it's probably going to take a few weeks. Then I'd be looking for a push through. This is bullish. This is good. I mean, if I was smart, if I had balls, I'd probably long this thing right now. I don't know. Maybe I write this thing down. Denison Mines Corporation. Denison Mines. DNN. Do have a little bit of excess cash that I need to allocate in my investment account. So I don't know, small positions, but don't hate it right now. Hey, what's up, Gallo? Been a long time, man. UNH, FOMO long term now, long term anal ISIS weekly monthly. Yeah. So this one, I always get very mad when I look at it because I had the beautiful plans to invest on this thing at 225 and it got down to 234. FOMO long term now. Wait, what the fuck are you looking at, man? FOMO long term, like what? What? It's that fucking Russell Westbrook meme. Like what? What? Let me bring it up over here. This guy is great. Russell.
Russ, did you guys lose this game or did the Jazz win this one?
What? 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 What?
Exactly my thoughts, Mr. Westbrook. Exactly my thoughts. What? What do you mean? What do you mean long-term FOMO? Long FOMO right now? No, man. I think that this is not good right here. I think that it's going to come back down to these lows, and maybe I get my position. I'm going to put an alert there right now. You know, I'll probably be happy to do a little bit at 250. Anywhere between 250 and the 200 simple at 230, I'm happy to do. But right now, no. I think that look, this is fucking garbage, man. Like, what the hell? Most things are rallying to new highs right now. This is not a good sign. Even has some hidden bearish divergence here, pending this week's closure. Yeah, man. I think this thing comes a little bit lower. Not that much lower, but yeah, a little bit lower. I'm happy to be an investor at between 250 and 230. Maybe I end up eating my words again and being too conservative for this one, but that's where I'm happy to do business, but not before that. Quarterly looks all kinds of ugly, to be fair. It does look pretty fucking bad. So there is that. But yeah. All right. Bryce Pinko says RCAT consolidating alt. By the way, good to see you, Gallo. I always love when you're here, man, because we can always joke around. It's good. RCAT. Yeah. So full disclosure, I do own this one as well. Yeah, it's had some pretty impressive moves here. It did move to new all-time highs recently. Now backing off a little bit below that. I think that this is a setup for a consistent move to new all-time highs. Technically, there is going to be an implied target based off of this breakout. I'd be looking $20 plus. Probably more like at least 24 is going to be my implied target. And then it might go into the crazy zone from there to like $30. But yeah, Again, I do own this. I am biased towards it, but it is objectively a good chart. It is testing that prior high, so pullbacks around this are to be expected. And to be fair, it already did pull back from $18 all the way down to 14. That's a tremendous big move, 23% almost. So it very well might already have that next higher low in it. It just pushes through here. You do have hidden bullish evidence on caretakers RSI. I guess there is a shot that it just pushes through here. Overall, I'm bullish though. Overall, I think that it will get to at least 24, 25 bucks. Does it go for a moonshot from there to like 30 plus? Maybe, but I think this one still is upside from here. It's pretty good. Where to get bearish on it? I would only get bearish on it if it came back down below. This is not even helpful, but about 10.5 bucks. That's just my line in the sand, I suppose. Yeah. Need to get this burp out so I can start eating this damn bar. Oh, yeah. There we go. There we go. Here we go. Oh, man. Un momento. And then we'll get to, I think, Chris Vella's next. He's looking at doggy corn. Doggy corns. Mm-hmm. Looks great, man. looks phenomenal. I am still inclined to say, while overall it's very bad, while overall it's among the worst investments, it probably isn't going to break below 10 cents right now. I think that you might test down around there, but this should be a bounce zone for at least one more try. And it might bounce to like 15 cents. I mean, from 10 to 15, that's 50% fucking move. That's good. But that's going to take a long time, and ultimately you're fighting against gravity long term. I mean, this is fucking garbage long term. Long term, almost undoubtedly coming and staying below 10 cents for a long time. I'd imagine 6 cents. The 6th sense. Dark Road retracted his message. I don't know why he'd do that, because it was a super chat, so now I can't read a super chat. Bastard. I'll eat a little bit more of this and we'll get back to it. Felix Marin wants to look at copper. We can do that. We already kind of looked at it, but sure. This one's freshly breaking out. I think that is going to be like the altcoins at the end of a market cycle. This thing probably has more upside than gold and silver right now. I do have an implied target pointed up to like almost $8, something like that. I'm bullish on this thing as long as you're above 5.5 on a weekly closing basis. Wait, what? Burren Wuffet. Burren Wuffet. Mr. Escobar's back. He's looking at IAU. Just like gold, it's in the crazy twilight zone right now, but let it do its thing. It's at $100 for the first time ever. I think you're going to shoot past $100 pretty well, like maybe 105, 110 at least, something like that. Easier to watch gold though to look for highs, but for right now, we don't have what I want to see on a major high. It is getting close, obviously, but it's not there just yet. Just trust the upside. It's gonna go a little bit higher at least, maybe even a lot higher. I mean, who knows? But higher from here for sure. Shouldn't say for sure, but very likely to go higher from here. Blah blah blah. You get the idea. Really crazy chart though. Goddamn. Batman wants to look at Intel. We can do that. Another one that I own as well. Oh, that was a good bar. That was a real good bar. Yeah, my LARP lines here, not good. LARP lines on this one didn't work out. Overall, I think this thing is setting up for higher, but similar to many of the other charts we've seen, when you test a previous major high, in this case, it was the December 2023 highs, you're likely to pull back. We've already seen a pretty nice pullback here, to be fair. I mean, this thing went from 54.5 to 42.25. That's a 22.5% move. I think it's relevant to say your correction very well may be over. And this thing is ready to push through here into February, past this previous high, and probably reach back up towards, I don't know, 60, 70 bucks. Possible. Quarterly, really good. You know, to me, it's a question of when, not if. That's just my personal take. of it reclaiming this high and moving back to those previous range highs. But let's say it does get all the way back up towards, the high side of this range here. I don't think it's going to push through on the first pass. So upside is kind of limited in the medium term, I suppose. But long term, yeah. What do you think of the bounce after the bearish news? I don't think the news matters, man. The chart is doing what the chart is doing. It's telling you right now. Go fuck yourself. It's not telling you to go fuck yourself, but it's telling all the people who think they're geniuses by listening to the news, go fuck yourself. It's a higher low. It's a higher fucking low. Crazy idea. The trend is your friend. It's like, people think that they're so smart, so well-educated, so worldly to listen to the news when all you need to do is watch price and look at the trend. Holy shit. You'll be infinitely better off in most facets of life. Let me see. Where did I leave off? Yes, we got that. Retard quant back again. TGB. Seiko Mines. TGB. Got it. Cool. High term time frames. I'm a cave OG since 2017. Hell fucking yeah. What was your name before I guess maybe you changed it, maybe just didn't comment before, because I actually do remember pretty much everyone. I've been using the HPDR suite for 3 months. The retard is feeling less retarded. Thank you. Yeah, man, HPDR suite, amazing. HPDR is still among my best indicators, even though I haven't been showing it recently, just because there hasn't been like any major setups there recently. But yeah, you got the progenitor himself right there in the comments, Mr. Caretaker, the genius behind that one, man. Both the historical price action statistics and HPDR. I mean, it's just fucking money. And I mean, shit, man, the OG of the Caretaker indicators, CTRSI right here. Beautiful. TGB. I don't know why I would say J, but TGB. Long-term good. Reclaiming the high from more than 15 years ago in November 2010 is a very strong signal. And I do think that this thing will move decently higher overall in the long term, which you specifically said you are looking at. I think you probably will put in a local high somewhere around like $9. Somewhere around $9. In the short term, if you come back down below this week's low, that's problematic for a short-term reversal. But again, if you're very long-term, like you said, I don't think that that's of great relevance. At some point, you probably do retest about $7.50, but that would be a place if I'm investing in this that I'd actually like. And, I think that this thing will go into double digits, like decent double digits, probably this year. The reversal is real. This is really, really good. Really, really good. All right, what else we got? Steve Calais, 6969, great numbers. AAOI God. I'm so fucking stupid. Applied Optoelectronics. Optoelectronics? What is that? Is that like like your face stuff or your eye stuff? Yeah, good here. I think that you continue this move up to about $50, probably pull back from there. Long term probably does push through. You do have a reversal here on the monthly and quarterly. So yeah, something like trade up into this, $50 or so, pull back, push through later on. I don't know, probably by like Q2, Q3, this thing's going to be breaking through, and I'd be looking at 70s ish, somewhere around there. This is good. Like, we've seen a lot of charts like this. It really does feel to me it's like the end of a crypto cycle where the shitcoins start rallying. I don't know if this is shitcoin or not. I've just used this term lovingly, but a lot of them look like this, where they put in these like very long-term accumulation phases, and now they're getting ready to resolve these in a real in a real reversal. So yeah, it's one of those times where you can't fully throw darts. Like, we certainly have seen some bad charts today, some charts that are just not doing shit, but a good portion of them, yeah, are looking something similar to this. So yeah, not bad. If you're on a daily though, very obvious reversal point in the short term below $35, but this thing it wants higher right now, man. It wants to go up, in my opinion. Yeah, it's good. Overall good. Evil Gargoyle with Swords. Very nice. MIN on ASX. Got it. Okay. Mineral coins. Yeah. Problem with something like this is that when you go parabolic on the way up like this, there's no like higher lows along the way. So if you're going to manage a position, it just becomes very difficult. I'm inclined to say it probably is nearing a pullback. And you probably do see this thing come back to like $55 or so, somewhere around there. But I don't feel that strongly about it because there's nothing like super, super obvious. or just like no major structures built up here. So while I do think you pull back a little bit, what I really like to see is this thing like put in a real higher low on the monthly, you know, maybe even come down a little bit to like 47, 48 bucks, then try an upside move. But I don't know on this one, just because it's just been crawling its way sideways and up like this. And when I see something like that, it usually doesn't end well because you don't really set in important higher lows on the way up. But I don't know. I'd hold off on judgment on this one personally. If I had to call it, if you put a gun to my head, I think next move is down into a higher low, somewhere around 47 to 50 bucks. But I would say this is one of those charts where I really want to say, I don't know, and I don't trust my opinion on this. Yeah, I just don't have the obvious things that I want to see. If there's one other thing that I could say is that I don't think it's going to continue to that $77 high right here from here without a correction first. I think that you will see a correction, a decent correction first. Wait, what the fuck is this? Hold on. Let's see if I just got an important message. Un momento. Yes, we like that. We like that. Oh, nice. All right, cool. Getting some tax forms. Very exciting. Get to pass it on to my accountant. You deal with that shit, sir. You deal with that shit. Bryce Pincos is back. He's looking at RIVN. Gotcha. RIVN. This one failed its rally last time we looked. Yeah, and it's still failing here, and I think that it's going to continue to... Well, hold on. This would be the last line. This would be the last line at 15 bucks. And I believe we spoke precisely about this number last time we looked at it, which was last week. This would be the last line or the last area where I'd be looking for potentially a higher low to form. I don't think it's going to happen, though. I do think this one is going to resolve bearishly. You do see significant amounts of hidden bearish evidence here on the monthly, and this thing closing below the December lows at 1573, I think that would solidify it. So barring a rally back above 15 3/4 before Friday's closure, I feel a lot more confident this thing is failing this rally right here, and you're going to come back down to these lows at like 11, 12 bucks, or maybe even $10. But next move would be down. It's the main thing. Next move would be down. And then best case scenario is you create a range. All right. Let's see. Daryl K says hype versus dollar. Sure. We called a top on this one a couple, like 2 or 3 months ago at around 40 something, 40, I think it was like 44. See where it's at now. I haven't looked at it since then. Holy shit. Well, that escalated quickly. Pretty good move here though. So it came down from 44 when we last looked at it to $20. Now having a pretty epic bounce. Has that bounce done anything to reverse the trend though just yet? Not necessarily just yet. I wouldn't be calling any trend reversals until this thing's really closing back above the 200 simple on the daily, which is 38.5 bucks. But it's a pretty good move. It's a good start right here. I just don't think you're gonna do like this, for example. I think you might, if it's gonna be good, it's probably gonna do something like this. Maybe continue that short-term move a little bit more, then correct back down to like 30, then put in a higher low, then try an upside move. But yeah, just a hard thing to play, man. At the end of the day, it is a shit coin, and it's like, how much do I even really trust charts on these things? It's like not even that much, unless it's giving me downside signals. So what I feel strongly about is you're not going to see this thing zoom past, 40 bucks without a big correction first. And if you see this thing below about 28 bucks again on a weekly closing basis, then I get very bearish on it. But for right now, I don't think I have really anything useful to say on this one, man. To be honest with you, if I had to call it, I think this is going to be a next local high. If I had to call it, but that's just an intuition play. It's not based off of signals or anything like that, except for, extremes here on daily BWP. But even that's not terminal in the way that it currently is. I really need to stay up above there for a while. So I don't think I have a good read on this one. If I had to absolutely make a call, it would be local high right here and back down to 27, 28 bucks. After that, I don't know. Yeah, man, just don't, I don't think I have anything useful to say on it, to be honest with you. Just could very well be one of those one-off rallies that quickly gets reverted. That is kind of the general trajectory for most shitcoins, but yeah, I'd want to come back to this one in like a week or two. I don't think I have a good read on this one right now. Evil Gargoyle with Shorts is back again. He's looking at shitcoin CCU daily, weekly. So like a crypto. Is it? No, it's probably this, I'm guessing. Yeah, that's actually CCU. Okay. You are on a daily and weekly. Okay, cool. Daily looks like a short-term local high, but weekly, you do have a reversal in here, potential. It's not really confirmed until you're back above the April of last year's high at like 15, 16 bucks, or sorry, 15.75 to $16. But there is potential here. There is actually potential because you do have a monthly higher low and a weekly higher low. I think it probably does push through and complete the reversal. And I do think that you probably find your way back up, I don't know, maybe sometime this year to like, 19, 20 bucks. Quarterly, same thing, hit regular bullish divergence, come off of that last low. I'm inclined to say it will reverse here, actually. I think that it will. Short term, it's going to probably pull back off of this high once again from 15.5 bucks, but that's not an issue. It's bullish as long as you're above about, I would say, $13.50 on a weekly closing basis. Until then, I think you got a real good potential to reverse here. This is what reversals generally will look like, especially on the quarterly. Crypto Juggle 9943 says, "Hey, Crank, can we look at Monero on the 4-hour daily?" Yeah. Let's see. This also was one of the better looking ones as of recent, but it completely negated its rally as of recent as well. So classic crypto bullshit, just rallies out of nowhere, fails that rally as soon as it begins. Great job. Where's the obvious thing here? The obvious thing is on the monthly. Monthly closing below 475 is inconclusive. Monthly closing above 500 bucks is bullish as fuck. So I would honestly wait until, is the monthly closure Saturday or Sunday? It is Saturday, actually. Sorry, it's Saturday. Okay. If we're on the daily, if we're on the 4-hour, short term, I think you got a short term move back down to this range low, 450 or so. Does it bounce there again? Probably, but other than that, I don't really have a strong opinion on it. I would really want to see the monthly closure. That's what's really going to drive this thing long term. Yeah, if it closes here or lower, I'd have a bearish bias on whatever rally happens next, if there even is a rally, and be looking for like 370 to get hit at some point. Might take a couple months, but yeah, somewhere down around there if that were to happen. For right now, though, this is looking like a rejection. It is looking like a failure. I would be short term, like very short term on the 4-hour, looking for more downside price action, hidden bearish divergence right there as well. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to like break down exactly from here. Just maybe retest those lows. Maybe not exactly helpful, but that's the best that I can do for right now, man. LS1 says, Lunar stock, push past all-time high or pullback. Again, full disclosure, I do own this one myself. It was brought up on stream recently, and I am bullish AF on it. No, I think this thing is in a blue sky breakout, or not a blue sky breakout, but it is in a breakout right now. The pullback that we were looking for based off the retest of that previous high from 2025, January, a year ago, I think that's already happened, man. This thing went from 22 to 17. So that's a 20% correction right there. I think that might just be it. You got hidden bullish divergence on that last recent higher low. It's already past the previous high. I think that this thing is going to push through here most likely. The monthly, again, the monthly closing anywhere here or higher, especially by end of month, it's just bullish. Like if it pulls back or not, I think it's going to be short-lived. Maybe comes back down to 20 bucks. So a 10% move there, but look at the higher term timeframes, man. This thing, in my opinion, this is why I'm holding it. It wants to push through. It wants to push through and put in a real rally. Again, I might be talking my book here because I do own this, but I own it because I like the chart. I'd only turn bearish on this thing if it comes back down below the January low of $17. Below there, okay, I'd get bearish, I suppose. But until then, I'm happy to hold this thing. So yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah, Fooled by Randomness from Taleb, one of the foundational books when it comes to statistical thinking or just thinking in general. Fooled by Randomness, a lot of insightful ideas there. Nassim Taleb, it's like, as a person, insufferable. As a book writer, one of my favorites. Good morning, gang, says Mark. What's up, man? Good morning to you as well, sir. Read through a few more of these and we'll call it a day. Like I said, I do need to get back to or go to a couple of appointments. Dread Mining says, what the heck is USAR meme stock? I don't know. USA, rare earth. So they got the narrative going on here with rare earths and whatnot. Short term, it is a local high, probably does come down a little bit more, but this actually does look good to me. Yeah, it actually does look good to me. Don't hate this one at all. Wouldn't be surprised to see this thing back around all-time highs this year, actually. Narratives are strong, but where's my line in the sand for remaining bullish? It'd be like $15 on a weekly. Something like that, man. Areeb says, good morning, Crown and Elsa. What's up, man? I think you missed my super chat on Monday of PLG. All right, I got it right now, man. Sorry about that. Sometimes we fuck it up, but, well, just remind us and we're happy to fix it. Oh, God, it's one of these, man. A lot of these long-term shitcoin charts are reversing. So this thing does have a chance here, but it is absolutely weaker than the majority of ones that we've already seen today, because those ones are already like really putting in major rallies. This one's not, so it is a laggard, which is not a good sign. Top side of your range is 627, 6.25 basically. If you push through this month's high, then yes, I do think you will see that number hit. But for right now, this thing is actually getting some short-term toppy signals here. Which way am I inclined to say? I am inclined to say that it will push through here. Actually, it will likely trade back up towards these highs of like $5, maybe even $6.50. But I need to come up with an invalidation, because if this thing turns around, it's going to be fast and it's going to take no prisoners. And the most obvious area would be this week's low, 303. Below there, I'm bearish as fuck. Until then, okay, give it a chance. Because most things are pulling through on these rallies as of recent. So that is a good sign, to be fair. DA says NXE daily. Sure. NXE. Okay. Next gen energy. Very good, at least for the weekly. Very good on the monthly. New all-time highs. Love it. Fucking love it. So a breakout like this on a monthly to new all-time highs fresh on this month's closure, I think you're just going to continue new all-time highs for the next couple of months at least. Your quarterly is very strong, hidden bullish evidence in that last higher low. This thing wants to continue. If you do have a corrective move, I'd be looking somewhere around 11.5 to $12 even, but I'm still bullish from there. I'm only bearish if this thing comes back down below about $10, let's say. Generally, I think it's going to go higher, man. I think it's going to go higher, and I guess we can come up with some areas of interest here. I guess next major one's $14 even. From there, big next targets would be $17 and then $19. So yeah, something like that, man. Yeah, overall good, man. Overall good. Okay. Are we ready to call this one a wrap? Berat Mathur says, Dixie. Yeah, we could look at Dixie really quick. Sure, why not? Why not? The old Dixie. Last I looked at it, was retesting those lows. I actually don't think it's going to break to new lows from here. The reason why I don't think you're going to break to new lows is you are undoubtedly building up bullish divergence on the weekly RSI and maybe even the monthly. Yeah, it is there too. So it's like, if it goes lower, I don't think it goes that much lower, maybe like 94.25. I mean, that is kind of a big move for Dixie, to be fair, but I think that's worst case scenario. Might even just bottom where it's at right now, man. Yeah. Quarterly is in limbo though. Quarterly, I could get absolutely fucking super nasty, ugly bearish if this thing closes below about $96, but that's still another 2 months to wait for that one. So possible, but give it a chance here first. Like I said, you're going to have some divergences building very soon. So it'll probably bounce before that time. And, will it be below 96 by end of this quarter, by end of March? I would imagine probably not, but that would be my line in the sand for getting very, very, very ugly bearish. We already looked at RIVN, man. So we're good there. FLD on the daily. Sure. All right. Then we're going to start to wrap this bitch up. Terrible. Like, why choose this over everything else that we've seen today? Is it going to bounce here? Maybe. It might bounce up to $2.50, but there are infinitely other things that are in uptrends. That is not this thing. This thing is absolute fucking garbage. You're playing shitcoin relay by looking at bullshit like this, man. What the fuck? What the fuck? This thing wants to go down, if anything, man. Wants to go down long term. Un Poquito Loco says, hey, Crown, I've been going through your TA playlist and learning a bit watching on stream. I feel like things are starting to click for me. Any recommendations for anything from your teachable link for a noob? Yeah, so, okay. You might want to hold off on buying the Crown Trading Bible. Not because I don't think it's amazing, not because I haven't put my fucking heart and soul into it, and not because it's, in my opinion, the best work that I've ever done, but because I am going to be releasing another free TA 101 playlist. And I think that is going to be very strong, and it's free. And I think for the majority of people, it's going to be about everything they wanted to know anyways. But if you want to go deep, if you really are like, if you're like a fucking crazy autist, and I say that in a loving way, because I think probably I am myself, at least in some format, then, you know, the Crown Trading Bible is probably overkill, man. Like it's not just going to teach you about classical TA. It's going to teach you about quantitative analysis. It's going to show you live trades. It's going to show you it's going to teach you options. So that's like another fucking 40 hours if you're interested in that. It's going to do trading psychology and then long-term analysis. And, you know, does everyone need that? No. Can it be useful? Fuck yeah, absolutely. But it really depends how deep you want to go. Like, are you trying to do this in a professional manner, or are you, you know, just looking for like the 80-20 rule, in which case I'd just say free playlist, man, you're good to go. You're probably good to go. Mostly you just want to learn trend, honestly. If you are looking to get the best bang for buck, learn trend. Everything else is secondary to that in varying degrees, but trend will be your friend, and you're not gonna be perfect. It's not gonna be sexy, but you will be on the right side of the markets more often than not, as trend would define. And you know, that's good enough really for long-term investors. Batmanny. All right. Last one for Batmanny. AMKR. Gotcha. All right, cool. Anchor Technology. Very good. Very nice. Very nice indeed, sir. Yeah, I love these ones that are, it's not at new all-time highs just yet, but it is approaching that previous all-time high. I think that you likely will retest officially the all-time high, probably make new highs this year at some point. We are to get bearish on this one. Where's my validation? It's very obviously the price action pivot here, which is 38 and 67 cents. Until that gets closed below, I am bullish on this thing. Yeah, you're going to have pullbacks along the way. I don't know what time frames you're necessarily looking at, but you know, sideways and up from here, looks like you got another higher low somewhere around $49 as well if it comes back down there. So yeah. Anyways, that is where we shall end things for today. I want to say an absolute pleasure speaking with you on this nice little Wednesday morning. We'll be back on tomorrow with another just regular video, and then Friday, another live stream. Be anything's on that note. As always, take care.